So the ceasefire is agreed, it isn't agreed. Who knows? Anyway, I thought it would be worthwhile, or quite funny actually, to go and compare one thing from two different Marvel universes. So first, let's go to one extreme, Press TV.
The opposition, like Lapid, saying that he is giving out empty promises, empty words. He said that I have achieved the return of peace for these settlers. I want to return these settlers to the northern parts, and he means, of course, by that the Galilee region or the northern occupied Palestinian areas. That is considered an empty promise. Why? Because the Israelis are saying the settlers will not return because they have seen that Hezbollah is still strong, and once the Israelis, as even Benjamin Netanyahu is saying, that there is any breach of some sort, he says that Israelis have the right to defend themselves, that they will continue to strike targets in Lebanon. If that happens, the Lebanese people after this last war are now even more adamant on supporting the resistance and stressing that they will continue to support the resistance in its fight to defend Lebanon. Because this has been, of course, one of the only points of strength for Lebanon, based on what we've seen.
Okay, one reality, one Marvel universe. Is Russia Today touching on it? They'll be touching on Ukraine and how great the Russian empire is or was. Yep, that's what they're doing just now. Let's see what Al Jazeera said to it.
Statement by French president. It's a 60-day ceasefire. Israeli withdrawal will then be gradual, should be completed within 60 days. There will be no buffer zone in South Lebanon after those 60 days, meaning Lebanese civilians can go back to their towns and villages in the south. So on paper, this looks okay. But again, and we've discussed this before, Laura, it's very reminiscent of of a bad movie that we've already been to, and we know how it's going to end. Because Hezbollah is not...
Exactly, man. Do you know what it's like? It's like a horror movie, and you're watching it, and the woman or the guy hears a noise. You're like, don't go in there, just run out the fucking front door going, ah! But they always go near the fucking noise, don't they? Don't go near the noise!
In this arm, and if you take Mr. Netanyahu's text, or at least the statements that he had made, he's opening fronts all over the place. He is committed to eradicating Hamas.
He's into the full Monty. He's opening fronts all over the gaff.
How he's going to do this is unclear. He is committed to standing up to Iran. He's bragging and boasting about the damages that Israel caused or inflicted on Iran in the latest exchange. And he's warning that the ceasefire in Lebanon is only good as the events stipulate, meaning that he maintains the freedom to act, which is supposed to be supported by a side letter from President Biden. So all in all, it's good that there's a ceasefire agreement, but I have to tell you, it looks very, very difficult to maintain.
Yep. Exactly what I was saying. If the bookies would take money off me, I would go down to the bookies and say, I don't think this ceasefire's going to last 60 days. I mean, I hope it does, but I don't think it will. So let's have a look at another reality of the BBC. No, not the reality, sorry, the BBC's Marvel Universe. One event, 3 Marvel universes.
Thank you very much for being with us on BBC News once again. It looks like there is going to be an Israeli acceptance of a ceasefire then in Lebanon. What is your reaction to that?
No doubt. I have no doubt that it's going to be accepted because the powers who want it are much stronger than those who don't want it. Netanyahu has now a problem with his own base, his political base, and therefore he's doing this enormous effort to convince everyone how big are the Israeli achievements, forgetting some price that Israel had paid, including in turning into a pariah state in those months of fighting, both in Lebanon and in Gaza. But the main problem remains Gaza, and Gaza is not closer this evening for a solution before this agreement. So it's a very important agreement, and it's really a positive development, but Gaza is the main story.
Yeah, and in fact, he did talk.
Hold on a sec, pal.
He gave three.
Hold on a sec, pal. This is no the main story. Don't you know it's been raining in Britain? I read an article earlier on, they were like, the season is bringing the third storm over, and I was like, what season does that mean? What season could you be on about? Could you be on about the storm season? What was the other thing I heard? I think it might have been South Wales or somewhere in Wales that it was really, really bad. So they said people there, the guys like, oh my god, we haven't had any flooding here for 50 years. And I'm like, 50 fucking years in the grand scheme of the hokey cokey of the weather and cycles and all that shit. That's sweet Fanny Adams, especially if you stay next to a river. Which I think he did stay next to a river, or in a floodplain, or reclaimed land. Marshland reclaimed. Cracks me up, but hold on, the main story is Gaza. I mean, 5 dead in Britain because of rain. Who would have thought fucking it would have rained in Britain during the storm season, or we would have had storms during the storm season? There's a rain cloud coming, everybody. 5 people dead. I mean, that's fucking tragic. But I heard the stat the other day, how accurate it is, I don't know. A child dies in Gaza, equivalent to 1 every 30 minutes. But fuck, forget that. Forget the 45, 44, 43, whatever. Let's stick it in half to keep fucking the skeptics happy. 20,000 dead in fucking Gaza. Fuck it.
Reasons for ceasefire now in Lebanon. He said, number 1, to focus on the threat from Iran. Number 2, to allow our forces, our military, to refresh and replenish weapons supplies. And number 3, to disconnect the 2 arenas of Lebanon and Gaza so that Hamas would be left alone on the battlefield, was what he said. Does all of that make sense to you?
Yeah, but it shows that Israel was in a problem, because he hinted also about shortage in ammunition and arms flow from the United States, which now will be renewed, which was another reason for Israel. It's very clear that the Americans didn't leave.
Was it on this clip that I mentioned that? Was it at the beginning of this clip I mentioned that? That's exactly what they're doing. 60 days to refresh and then come back right at them. And if you refresh your ammunition or anything, we're going to blow you up in the meantime. This is a fucking facade of a ceasefire.
Any choice for Netanyahu but to sign on this agreement, and he did well when he did it, but it's very clear, again it was proven, that when the United States really wants something from Israel, when the United States is really ready to take measures, then Israel has to obey.
And also, this is a ceasefire, assuming it does go through all the remaining hurdles in terms of the cabinet approval and so on, that lasts for 60 days initially, and Israel reserves the right, effectively, to go back in and to start hitting Hezbollah again. Is this a ceasefire you think will last?
It will last. First of all, it's the end of the war with Lebanon at this stage. It's much more than a ceasefire, but Netanyahu, for his own domestic considerations, undermine it and says it's only a ceasefire. It's not a ceasefire, it's ending the war in the north, which is wonderful and should be presented as a wonderful development, but Netanyahu has up.
There we go. One event, one thing, one speech, one document with a ceasefire agreement on it, and 3 different Marvel universes. Ain't that sweet? I've managed to actually get this fucking tripod thing to behave itself, or learn how to work it again. So that's pretty cool, isn't it? What Marvel Universe are you in? What did you hear? I heard he's time to come straight back at them. Anyway, I just thought that would be quite funny to do one event, 3 Marvel universes. Get it? Got it. Good. Cat cheese, no cats, not cheese. We're harmed in this event.